So I'm going to call this meeting to order at 10:01. Tracy Morano present.
Paul Baum present, and I will take minutes. I think it's my turn.
Great. Mary Hartman?
Here.
Okay. So the agenda is, let's see, let me just pull that up. The first thing that we have is public comment. Does anyone have any public comment? If you do, you can use the raise hand feature or just simply raise your hand like this. All right, no public comment. And we will move on to approve the available meeting minutes. So I believe that those were the two sets of meeting minutes from August 5th and our last meeting.
Right. So I have,
I just have.
I have a few.
Oh, go ahead, Mary.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Thank you. I just have a few corrections to make to let's start with the August 5th one.
Yep.
Under others present, Russell, it was Russ Karlstad.
Oh, did I put Russ
not-
Hughes in there?
You did, yeah.
So Russ Hughes, yes, I will fix that. Russ Hughes was our facilities director at the schools.
That's right. That's right. That's why I figured that happened.
Yep.
So it's Russ Karlstad. And then there are a few typos under number 5, government facility consolidation sites. It should be
And
2229.
this is August 5th, Mary?
Yeah, I'm looking at August 5th. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, do you have that? Am I going too fast?
No, I'm just going to pull it up. I just
Okay,
have a couple
great.
windows open. So I'm going to fix them all at the same time.
Great. Okay, tell me when you're ready.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so under number 5, government facility consolidation sites,
Yep.
where it says 2-29, that should say 2229 Main Street.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Good catch.
And then where it says Kerry reported district courthouse is unavailable per, it should be DCAM, DCAMM.
AM.
2 M's. Yep.
M. Yep.
And then this is where I need help. Number 7, where it said Judith recommended CoStar for market value data. Is that, I'm trying to go by my memory. Was that what she recommended? Is that the name of the firm? Anybody remember?
So
I don't remember.
I can't remember. I can check in with Judith.
Yeah,
Why don't you just
okay, great.
highlight it and I'll check in with her because I tried, as the town said at the chair's breakfast, these are AI minutes that I then went back and modified. So I'll just highlight that and I will ask Judith that.
Great. Okay, good. That's it for that. So do you want,
Well,
I
I
have-
have I have one on August 5th.
Yep.
The last bullet on number 6, Barretts Mill Road property. I think you should add, just for posterity, that it's at the corner of Strawberry Hill and Barretts Mill, currently owned by the schools, because there's little,
Yep. At the corner of,
at the corner of Strawberry Hill Road and Barretts Mill Road, parenthesis, currently owned by the schools. That's what I would add to that, just for
Yep.
for context. Yeah, that was my.
We don't have a lot of background on that either. Currently
I
owned.
know.
It's
I
by
know. So,
Concord Public Schools, not the region.
right. Kind of.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
just factual. That's all I had on that.
Great.
okay, so I make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second,
Roll call. Can we go in alphabetical order? That's what we do on school committee. Just
Sure.
makes it easier.
Paul
Paul?
Baum, yes. Aye.
Mary Hartman, yes.
Tracy Morano, aye. Okay. And how about the minutes? Any changes on the minutes from?
Yeah, I have a few.
Yep.
I think I would, again, we've got Russell Hughes instead of
Yep,
Russ
Yep.
Karlstad.
That's me. September 17th, right?
Yeah, September 17th. You got it. Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready. Karlstad.
Yeah.
It's KARSTAD.
Karlstad.
AD. Okay.
Yeah, Karlstad. Yeah. And the other thing is that actually I chaired that meeting where it says roll call, Paul Baum chaired the meeting. I chaired that
Okay.
meeting. That was
All
my
right.
choice. And then, and that's it. That's it.
That's it. Okay. Let me just change this to Mary.
No, wait, Tracy, one more thing.
Yeah.
Under number 4, where it says, the first bullet, reviewed properties under consideration, Peabody Ripley 2229 Maid Wardens building long list, but long term, and then it says wastewater facility eliminated. I don't,
Was that the discussion on the wastewater treatment facility at MCI?
yeah, but was never considered part of a short or a long list for our purposes. So it feels like kind of an outlier here.
Did we eliminate that from the list? Was that the discussion?
I don't think so. I don't think it was ever on the list. Do
Okay, so
What, the
maybe
wastewater treatment plant per se? No.
No,
It-
so
okay.
I'd take that out
should
entirely.
take it
That's
out. I'm just gonna take out wastewater facility eliminated.
great. Thank you.
Okay.
That's it. That's it.
Anything else, Paul?
I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't have it. What is that whole, read that whole sentence as it exists now with regards to MCI?
Reviewed properties under consideration, Peabody, Ripley, 2229 Main Street, Warden's Building. And then it says long list, but long term. And I'll admit, I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, me neither.
So I'm gonna take that out.
Good. And you might want to add here that we also included potential leased properties because that's
Okay.
on our matrix.
How
Right.
about if I say also on the list is potential lease properties?
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
anything else? Okay,
Great. Okay, so I move that we approve the minutes as amended.
do we have a second?
Second,
Roll call.
Paul Bohm, aye.
Mary Hartman, aye.
Tracy Morano, aye. Okay. Now I have to go back to the tab with the agenda on it, sorry. Okay. Okay, so next up, we have to review the matrix that matches the design criteria and sites under construction. So Paul, I'll ask you to share your screen on that, and then we can just review.
Okay. Yeah, just. It's coming somewhere. Here it is. Do you have that?
Not yet, Paul.
You started screen sharing. Oh, there
There
you
you
go.
go. There you go.
Great.
Okay. I I noodle around with this all the time. Um, so there's data that's just overall the data that are filled in. These green spots are data that we need. These yellow spots are things we need to discuss, I think. And then down at the bottom, I've added some. There are a lot of blanks on this in terms of the potential targets, and I put in some kind of semi-factual numbers. So let me just say where these come from here. So this number for the Peabody School came from Russ as an estimate, and that's kind of a wild number, but I think he said 20 to 30 million. So I just dropped that in there. Um, Ripley School, I went to the Gorman Richards report and added up all of the numbers that they had in there, and I came up with this number. None of these numbers are absolutely correct. The MCI Warden's number, I just assumed that we have no estimate for that. I think that Russ is getting some information on that, but I just threw in there's, it's a big number. It may not be that number. The leasing option here, I took the number that Judith gave us in terms of, I think this is $30 a square foot um, times 150 square foot per person times 100 people. That's where that comes from. So that's I just want to let you know where those numbers. They're kind of placeholders
Right.
on all
Good.
of this. The the and all these revenue potentials here. There's no way they're shaded. This
Yeah.
is if we sell these properties. All we have is the assessed value. So I took the assessed value and dropped it in here. We don't have the appraisal, and then the taxes come from the tax rate on the assessed value. So the
So,
taxes are probably okay. The revenue potential from a sale is uh, probably an underestimate. I think because the appraised
no,
value is probably going to be a bit higher.
it's definitely an underestimate, and
Yeah.
I think we definitely need better numbers there. In fact, um, and the other thing is some of these we wouldn't sell, like for example, Court Lane, we wouldn't we wouldn't sell that, so we would rent it. So we need to understand the rental potential if we were in fact to move the assessor's office. So the that column needs work. But
Why would you say we wouldn't sell versus rent, Mary?
because it's on the cemetery land, it's a big, huge piece of land, and it would be really, well, in conversations I've had, it would be hard to sell that. It'd be hard to take that off and sell it, whereas I think we've got potential to rent it. I think it has better rental potential.
Well, you raised an important point. I don't have that column on here because I assumed, well, the
No,
assumption
you
here is
do.
that,
You do. You have revenue potential. But I'm just saying that for that
well, but
particular one, it wouldn't be.
well, that's not that's based on taxes on a residential housing basis. So my assumption here was that this property would be sold and then housing would be put up and we get those taxes. So this is not a leasing value.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
But yeah, I was working more on the revenue potential column, but you're right. It doesn't, if we lease any of these properties, if we move these people and lease these properties, the revenue potential from taxes isn't is not
yeah.
applicable.
But
Right.
the revenue potential from leasing is, so maybe I should add that column on here. I'll do that not now, but in the next version of it, and then
We
um,
also, I think, Paul, we do have values for Knox Trail. I think that was in
uh,
it was in the list I sent to you.
I thought there was a value in there for the 39 Knox Trail. I may have missed 37 Knox Trail, but well, I'll revisit that. It's there was some Knox Trail information in that, um, but I
I
could
got the number if you want to put it in. This
okay.
Can we just take a step back? All of these assessment numbers came from the
Meredith,
assessor's office.
that's right.
So that 24 Court Lane, it just seems like that would be worth more than $322,000, but maybe
That's the
that's
build.
the
See,
building. That's the building.
that's the problem, right? That's the building. It doesn't include the land under it because the land under it includes the entire cemetery.
Okay.
And
I,
we have that same problem with Ripley, which is the Ripley, we only have the building value and I think it actually included all of the land or something. Let me see. Yeah, it included all of the playing fields. So, and we know that's not correct. So we've got a little bit of mismatch here between how much is building and how much is land and how much would be available for revenue and how much wouldn't.
Paul, can you just scroll down to Ripley in that column?
well, well, I have Ripley up here as well as down below because Ripley is
Oh, it's up.
something that could be vacated or it could be consolidated. We have it in both categories here, so the same
Okay.
numbers
Okay.
are
All right.
below. Yeah, you're probably right. I thought this 10 million was the building in that sheet.
Let me go back to
We should
what
check.
I got from, no, it includes the playing fields. The
Yeah,
land,
that's got to
Okay.
include the land for the 10 million. I mean,
yeah,
that's
it includes the playing fields. It does.
It doesn't have a separate building assessment?
It does. The building was worth 6.768 million and the land was worth 3.5 million. But that's all the land, right? So,
So I carry the 6.7 million in here? Uh, well, it
well, this is a question. I mean, how do we we need to talk about how do we break these things out? Because it's these two properties, and I think it's Ripley, it's more important, right? Um, it's more material. It's a much bigger impact. So what do people have for ideas to do that?
well, I mean, there are two highly theoretical options. A is that the entire property gets sold, or B, just the town just sells the building, subdivides it and keeps the playing fields. I
Right,
think there are two options to this.
Can you
Um,
put like an option A and an option B under it? Option A with every, because I'm not even sure that's for us to decide, but just to see all the options. So you keep the $10 million on there as option A, and that's selling off everything. And option B would be I mean, it isn't really an exact science here because it would be the building.
no, it
Like
isn't.
you really can't compare that, I don't think. But I mean, maybe it's just like a note under option B, which would be to subdivide the land and keep the fields and sell the rest of it, but we would need a formal appraisal or something to do that.
Well,
And the
yeah,
planning board. I mean, I don't even, you
I
know,
think if I just had a separate column which had building assessment and separate land assessment, then we'd have both numbers there as opposed to option A. I mean, option A would be combine those two. Option B would be. I think I just need another for the purposes right now to collecting data. I think I need to separate the land
Yeah,
value from the building value and just have another column for Ripley, for Court Lane, for uh, maybe maybe the
those are the only two, because the Hunt Gym was just the Hunt Gym, but that doesn't matter. Can we go back to Knox Trail for a minute?
sure.
Um, so you said that what I have here, what we were given was 39, and you think that's the wrong address, or is that what, is
No,
that,
they're two buildings.
yeah,
It's 37 and 39. We're not carrying 39 on here, and probably we should. I don't know. 30, um,
okay, let me go back to Meredith, okay? And
yeah.
clarify that, okay? I can do that.
I also go back to I have to go back to the facilities report because I don't know if there were separate assessments of 37 and 39, but they're two different buildings. And anyway, we got to figure that out. So
You want me to do, I can do that. I can,
yeah,
for this, as far as getting the appraised value and the, the revenue potential from taxes, we need that data. I'll try to get that.
okay. And then that would fill in here. So this taxation comes from whatever the assessed value. And the other thing with assessed value, and I think Carrie has told me this, the assessed value for your municipal buildings would be lower. If this were a
Yeah.
private, that's what I've heard. I
Yeah,
didn't
no,
verify
I
that.
think you're right.
So this may be the assessment value may be an underestimate, and that's something else to ask. I guess Meredith, whether you know,
No, Meredith's not the person to tell us. Oh, if you want to get to market value, the assessed value is what we use when we figure out the taxes, and we've got that right. But if we want to figure out the revenue potential, that's the market value. And that I thought I heard Judith say that she was going to talk with Tyler Spring, the Concord
yeah,
Partnership.
economic vitality. But so the thing is, assessed value versus appraised value are two very different things. And is it this
They are.
something that maybe there's, I mean, I'm going to ask about ARPA money for this. Is there any ARPA money that could be used to get appraisals? Because I know that that was part of the Peabody school discussion, was getting an appraisal of the Peabody school, which we heard at our last meeting never happened. So is
Right.
that something that, this is us looking at what the assessor's office has, but to me, I feel like the numbers are very different because the appraisal is going to be very different than the assessed value.
well, if we wanted an exact number, I mean, maybe we should do that. We should do that depth of investigation. But I'm wondering if there's just some rule of thumb that we might apply to this column just to get it, because I think our recommendations are going to be based on rough numbers, put it that way. Um,
Yeah, but well, there's rough
okay,
and there's
it'd be
great.
good if we can get these easily, we should. But my
You know,
comment
we
here,
could, I would think we could escalate this to Judith and Sven and say that we need market values for these properties in order to do a thorough economic analysis. And everything we're talking about here is going to come down to an economic analysis. What is the value of consolidating? So it's important, I think, that we get these numbers and we can ask them, do you want us to use some rule of thumb that Judith might have a database or something, or do you want
yeah.
to spend part of the money we've been allocated to get, professional appraisals? So I think I would kind of escalate it up to them and see, because I think it's important that we get pretty good numbers in this column.
I agree. And
Yeah,
I think that like that Peabody appraisal was really pretty far down. Like I actually thought it had happened. at a minimum, I think you got to look at your bigger facilities like Peabody and Ripley for the
Yes,
appraisals. I mean, and
yeah.
I do think that that is worth spending money on if we have ARPA funds to do it. Because I think the numbers are going to be different. I mean, it's like I can go look at what my assessment is on my own personal home, and what I'm going to sell it for is very different than what the assessment is, right? So,
And given the fact that these are municipal buildings, the
yes,
assessed value is even lower than yours. So
right.
yeah, it's a big swing between assessed and market. Um, so
But Mary,
that's a good point
let
to,
me ask the question again. I'm talking about assessed value here. Is the assessed value for your municipal building would be the same as a private structure?
no, it's
No,
typically
it's
lower.
less.
The assessed value.
Yes.
So the
Mhm.
assessed value is an underestimate as well. So if this were turned into if this would turn into housing, if we sold it, turned it into housing, the assessed value would rise and the taxation value would rise as well. So I'm saying these numbers may be correct for municipal building, but if we're turning these into something other than municipal building, these numbers themselves are low.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, you're right.
So that's another kind of factor that, and so that's why I was suggesting to ask the assessor if these were if these were not municipal buildings, how would that affect the assessment value?
I've worked with the assessor and they're very she would be reluctant to do that. You know,
Okay.
they have very strict, they're very disciplined in how they assess, and asking them to kind of make an estimate is not part of their job.
Well,
Yeah,
could you ask them how do you assess a municipal structure versus a private structure?
yeah, we could
Because
try.
you get some because that we're not asking them to give us the number, but to give us the methodology. So
I could try
maybe
that. Yep.
maybe we can arbitrarily turn it into a number without burdening
Okay,
them. Yeah,
good.
because then that would affect the taxation,
Paul,
potential taxations.
can you scroll down to Peabody for a second? Just so I can see the numbers there, because I don't want to open up another tab. So like that number is that, and tell me if I'm reading this correctly, 16 million is what that is assessed at.
Yes.
So when you think about that, and I'm just going to throw something wild out there, you sell the land, say you sell it for, $20 million, right? We have no idea what you're going to sell it for. You sell it to a developer, they put a neighborhood in there, the taxes, I mean, the revenue potential and taxes are going to be very different
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
than that
Well,
218,000. So I do think we need better numbers on the appraisals before, and then it depends on what the purpose is. So there are some unknowns in here still, even for taxes, but I do think the appraisals is kind of where it's at to give us better numbers. The tax impact, we're never going to know unless we know what the use is.
yeah. And in the case of Peabody, there are three separate parcels there. So
Mm-hmm.
there,
Right.
there are options in a sale whether to sell the building plus the field parcel. Well, the building parcel probably goes with the septic parcel, right? So it's really two
Yes.
options: building
Yeah.
plus septic versus building plus field plus septic.
And the
So that
fields. Yeah.
And
the
that $16 million number, Mary, is that all three parcels where they separated out?
I think it's all three, but I can check on that as well.
Yeah, because in that situation, it might be important to separate the field. I would think that the septic goes with the building, and then the field would be a separate, because that's just land. It's not structure on there either.
right. So I'm going to add another column here just for separating land on the just on the assessment land from building.
Hmm.
I just want to point out that 20 million is, I think, really high number to estimate for the market
Oh, yeah.
value.
I was
That,
just throwing that out
yes,
there.
it's
Sorry.
really, yeah,
I
that's
said that was
really,
a what if.
yeah.
That was not an estimate of any
Okay,
sort.
yeah.
I am not a
You know how
professional
numbers have a
estimate.
way of a life of their
I
own,
know.
though,
No, that was me throwing a wild number,
Yeah, that's
hypothetical,
okay.
and I have absolutely no professional basis for saying that.
Yeah,
Did that clarify it for the minutes?
good, yeah. I wouldn't, yeah, good, because that's that, yeah.
I've heard other numbers thrown around. If you sell people, you can get X. I think it would be, we need to put a little bit more,
Yeah,
You also
due
might only
diligence
get
in it.
5 million for it. I'll throw another number out just to make sure I'm doing both.
there you go. There you go. Well, I think how, never mind. How many, well, we could talk about how many, if it goes to housing, how many building lots would it be? And what's a
Yeah,
building lot sell for in that neighborhood? That was a pretty straightforward way of figuring out the market value, but
right.
Well, it's clear we have a lot more to do on these on these columns, but at least we we understand what the deficiencies are.
Mhm.
so Paul, I have one more comment about the matrix and thank you for keeping this together because it just keeps growing. And on the Harvey Wheeler, where it shows the square footage, where did these, well, I guess my question is, where did we get the square footage numbers?
These come from uh, the Megan's property property spreadsheet.
Okay.
You remember that has all the properties and all the so that came.
I just happened to know that when I was there, when I toured it, um, they've got 3,000 square feet in the basement that they use. That's not include, this was only the first floor. So I guess some of these numbers, I don't know what to do with that information, but some of the numbers, I think, this particular number, I think is low because
Well,
I just happened to find out, I happened to get the square footage while I was there.
But aren't those all in the property cards that are available on the Government Solutions website?
yeah, I
Maybe.
think that's where these
We have to
came from,
pull
but
all those property cards.
Yeah, well, then the property cards,
Wrong.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I took some action items. I think I want to ask Meredith about 37 and 39 Knox Trail, get that information, right? Ask her how do they assess municipal buildings versus private property, right?
mhm.
And then find out if the Peabody numbers that you're showing here, that we're showing, include all three parcels, and if we can separate those out. Okay? Does that sound right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. We do have within all of this, I mean, we are going to have some deeper discussions. Like one example here. So
Yeah.
Harvey Wheeler
Yep.
is actually two. There's there's well,
Yep.
if the numbers are right, this the 12,500 square feet total, but part of that is childcare that CCC rents out. Um, in our in our assumptions, are we suggesting that all of that is vacated, or just the Harvey Wheeler senior centers vacated? I don't want, but we're gonna have to think about what that option looks like. Does that remain a rental property to CCC, or does we propose that CCC find some other some other place? Um,
Well,
this
yeah, the presentation that was included in our packet here, I think showed both of those going,
yes.
so that the Harvey Wheeler building could be available for something else. Um,
Well, there's two. There's Harvey Wheel building, and then there's a CCC buildings
oh,
next
the
to
other
it.
building, the other one, yeah,
Yeah, those are two different buildings. And then, of
they
course,
are.
part of that complex is 55 Church Street as well. So, so
I see what you're saying. Yep. Yeah.
we kind of conceptually have to. So, what are we recommending in a potential sale or potential lease? Whole property, part of the property. And we could have three different options there as well, Tracy, to your point. But
Yeah.
maybe that's the way to do it. Um, so these blue things are buildings that we're not going to vacate, but there's potential staff that could be moved. I guess this is just theoretical.
Right.
Um, and I think to firm these up, Mary, we're going to have to have a little bit deeper discussions with the recreation department, with the IT staff. when I put this up last time, I think somebody said, no, the IT staff at CMLP has to stay there. Um, or I don't know, the idea of an IT consolidation, maybe Tracy, you brought this up, seemed to be problematic across the town, schools, town, et cetera. So,
Well,
uh,
not that it'd be problematic, but I don't think that is the job of this committee, is talking about consolidating staff. Consolidating offices, yes, but not staff.
well, but what I'm talking about here, well, in Ripley, it would be all of the staff potentially. In
Right.
CMLP, I'm just segregating out the IT staff here. Um, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, we could just talk
I,
staff numbers, but have some rationale behind it.
yeah, we're, I think what you're talking about, at least when I look at the Hunt Gym, you're saying there are four potential people that could be consolidated with other municipal offices. Am I
Yeah,
understanding that
right.
correct?
That's a recreation
Yep.
staff that's on the books right now. And
Okay. So the work to do is out of those four and the 18 at the townhouse and the eight at CMLP, how many of those could realistically go to a consolidated municipal building? And I think that's a conversation with Kerry, actually.
yeah.
And it's just
And
moving them to a
That's
consolidated
right. That's all
building.
it
It's
is.
not
Yes.
a
Yep.
reduction of FTEs at all. I just want to
oh no,
clarify.
no, that's what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
I think one of our driving rationales in our needs assessment was that there would be an efficiency. And behind that rationale and efficiency would be, like functions would operate at least more effectively without FTE reductions, but that would be more efficient. We'd have all the IT people in one place and all the planning people and who work with each other in the same place.
Yeah.
So there is just an efficiency and productivity rationale. But
Yep.
that's why I'm bringing that up.
Yep.
It's going to be fun tying this all together, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, we're still collecting the data,
Uh,
but as we all go through this, other thoughts pop up, right?
I know. I do. I know.
And we have all this qualitative stuff to fill in, and or maybe quantitative. I still am, I still am anxious to see what quantitative numbers come out of the productivity impact in terms of uh, whatever trip times or I
Do you
don't know
want me
what.
to tell you where I'm at with that? I'll give
Yeah,
you. So I've
yeah,
got three people gave me information about um well, two people gave me information about the time they spend, and then Russ gave me information for his staff. So I'm thinking that I want to take the numbers that I got and say how many of the headcount that we have similar jobs and just apply that number to that number of staff. This is again, these are all swags, right? But I think it makes sense. And likewise with so I've got three data points that I'm hoping to overlay on people who have, like I said, similar jobs to get a rough estimate of the number of hours saved. This is, and this is, I don't think this is going to be a big driver of of the economic analysis, but I think we can put some number on it.
yeah. No, that'd be great. So the metric here, aside
Mhm.
from plus plus, would be hours. It would be dollars, right? It would
No,
be
dollars, dollars.
it would be
You
dollars.
got it right here. It's dollars, yeah.
So how would you convert the data that you have
Well,
into dollars?
as I'm going from like job class to how many hours they'd save, I could probably just simply look at the comp plan and see what is I'll take the mid-range for the salaries. That's all public.
Wow. Okay.
I'm not going to do this today.
No, no. Um, so just for so the qualitative metrics we have in some of these others, are those suitable metrics? Customer service impact. I mean, it would be positive or negative, and maybe we could actually say very
I think that's
positive.
good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
And the staffing impact, which is a combination of
Wait for a minute. Wait, go back for a minute, Paul. Where you have operational savings, um, didn't we have that filled in and we were going to get better numbers? Give me another.
yes. Yes,
Remind
we
me,
did. I had numbers on there, and Russ said those numbers weren't correct,
right?
and it was on his to-do list. So
Hmm.
yeah, these are coming from Russell. I'll just
Is he going to be with us to later on today for the presentation? I think he's on the agenda.
He is, but I don't see him on the
No,
participant.
I don't believe Russ, unless it's remote, is going to be available. I'm not aware that he was planning on attending. I know he had to take a personal day for personal reasons, so I don't know how that translates.
yeah.
Yeah,
So Mary, to your point, we did have numbers. They weren't correct. This number here on Peabody, I think, came out of the same report. Some um
okay,
Russ,
so we're waiting.
I don't think Russ had these numbers, because the school numbers weren't on there. Those numbers came from the Gorman Richards report, I think.
Okay,
So we're waiting on this number here.
okay, go ahead. You were
Um, well, this column is not applicable to the I don't think, to the properties we're vacating, because we're not proposing that we would spend money, I don't think, renovating these for other uses, right?
where are you?
I mean, I'm on this column here.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So that's clearly applicable to any new building we move into or any building we would build, but I didn't think it was applicable to these quote unquote vacated buildings. Like if if um, if we move people from Harvey Wheeler and Church Street, would the town spend any money getting that in shape
Well,
for future use? Possibly,
let
but
me let me tell you the way I think about it. Um, our economic analysis is going to be what are the ongoing costs if we do nothing, which includes some renovations to Ripley. And then what are the costs if we consolidate? And the difference between those two costs is the benefit of consolidation. So that's the basic framework of the argument that we've got to pull this all into. What are the costs that we're going to incur if we do nothing going forward for, I don't know, we want to go out 10 years? That's up for discussion. And then what is the cost if we consolidate based on our recommendations of what to consolidate and where to consolidate to? And the difference between those two numbers is the savings. And so if we do nothing, the do nothing scenario means we don't consolidate. We are going to have to spend money at Ripley. So I think especially at Ripley and maybe some of these other buildings too, but I think we know we need to spend some money at Ripley. So that's my big long way of saying I think we need numbers at least for Ripley in this column.
So the Ripley operating cost numbers, don't line up with yours. I have those and I thought I'd sent those to Shannon, but I'm not sure that I did now. So I'm gonna send it to Shannon to send to both of you.
Great. But under the capital
so
cost, we need yeah, so we're talking about capital costs. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
but so the operating costs are $246,976. So that's different than what you have in your column. I just
say that again, 296, what?
246,978. And that includes maintenance, custodian, preventative maintenance and repairs. Water is like $1,400 a year, 75 in electricity and 67,000 in heating. So that's the $143,000,
Great. Good.
if
Thank you.
that's helpful. Sorry.
That's
Thought
good.
that I had sent that along already.
I think you did. And
Did I? Okay.
I think so, yeah. But anyway, it's okay. We got it now. So
Well, let me ask you something about Ripley. So um, I carried it down here, but the Gorman Richards report
Hmm.
basically was, and this number came in adding all of the costs of renovating everything,
Yeah.
HVAC. So this is almost a status quo number, isn't it? For Ripley, it was like 14 million plus change, and I got to check on this, but the Gorman Richards number here would be the status quo number, right? It wouldn't be, um,
yes.
right.
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
kind
you're
of,
right.
so it's,
It's,
it would probably be up here as well.
yes, it
Again,
should
I'm
be.
gonna check on
Yep.
this.
I mean,
There-
when we
there-
walked Ripley, I mean, that number is for renovation. It's not for a tear down and rehab.
Right.
Correct. So
I mean, a
that's
tear
what,
down and rebuild, sorry, excuse me.
right, so
Yeah,
that's what this
exactly.
is
That
here.
number belongs up there, and we don't know the number down below.
Right.
Which I think I would really like to spend some time today talking about getting better numbers for all of these um, potential consolidation sites.
Well, let's go to let's go to the bottom a second. Let me just fill this in here. Let's go crazy. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Okay. Um, so right now, just the staff numbers are just, oh, this column here. It includes some of the people currently in 133 and 135. It's not just the 141 Kaiser Road people. It includes engineering and other administration. It can go both either ways, but right now they're in here. What other pieces? These are the numbers, Tracy, that you gave me. And this includes everybody in that building. Um, so the school, the schools, the administration, and the rentals. But was it Case that rents that?
Case is there. Yep. Case
Yes.
rents from us. And then we
So
also have the integrated preschool.
right. So it includes everybody there.
Mhm.
What's not included separately in any of this is a program space, and that's not because it's embedded in here. But I'm talking about program space at Ripley, program space at Harvey Wheeler, and program space at the Council on Aging. Well, two program spaces at Harvey Wheeler. One is the
Yep.
carousel. They're
Yep.
they're not a town entity, but it includes Council on Aging. So this program space, which probably does that require another column here?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
ours is a little bit more complicated at Ripley, and I have program spaces. Like it's 5 classrooms of preschool, 2 speech and language rooms, 2 OT, 1 PT, a nurse's office, a STEAM lab, a gym, 3 conference rooms, a lunch space. It's a lot of different spaces, but I can send that along also.
well, this doesn't get simpler, does it?
It's like, yeah, it's really complicated. Because some of it is office. We have different spaces, right? We have office space, we have classroom spaces, conference rooms, rec space. If I were to really just categorize it.
Okay, so I read this column just we're gonna need to fill that in um for this. I'll go down in a second, Mary. Let me just finish this.
That's okay.
We need that. We need Harvey Wheeler.
And again, I'll send this to Shannon right now. I know she's listening and active.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so all these will be NA, and okay, we'll worry about that later. Um, okay, so dropping down to the bottom here, and I think you're right, Mary. These are really key
Yeah.
numbers that we have to figure out if we can
Yeah.
figure them out at the bottom here.
Yeah.
So
You're under capital costs. Yeah. That's going to be a huge driver of whether this makes sense or not, and
right.
what site makes sense or not. So um we need some information here.
Well, so with this is a new building cost.
Right.
And to get that, we're gonna have to get a square foot estimate
Right.
based on, and then say, what would it cost to build a new building? And right now I don't know where that comes from. That's what that would be.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Peabody is right now, this comes from Russ's estimate. Thoughtful, and he gave a range. what was his range? 30 to 50 million? What was
No, I
it?
thought it was 20 to 30, but
20 to
I,
30?
I think we need to do some real due diligence here.
Yeah.
20 to 30 million is a big swag. And, you know, if we're taking Peabody seriously, we need to be able to convince the town that we understand what the costs are going to be. So we've talked about this before as far as what's the environmental assessment of that building. So that's one thing I think voters are going to be interested in. And I hope the work that we've asked to have done there is moving forward. But the other thing that people are going to be very interested in, and for good reason, is what's it really going to cost to renovate that?
Yeah.
How do we bring it up to code? Um, so we need to really do our due diligence here, so that we understand what it costs before we invest any more money. So I don't know how we do that. Anybody?
Yeah, and just putting some color commentary, I think this is the single most important number
Mhm.
here
Yeah, me
because
too.
I don't want to prejudge where we're heading here.
Me too.
But I sense that of all the options that the Peabody option would be the most likely option versus the Warden's building or the Ripley School. Or well, maybe Peabody and leasing would be kind of equal. I don't know. I think 2229 building a new building, I just sense for a variety of reasons and timing, that's not going to make it to a final cut. I know I'm prejudging our thing, but that's why I'm saying this is the most important number, I think, because
For
this is
now,
for
for,
now.
for now it is. Yeah. Actually, I think building at 2229 Main, I don't think we should rule that out, but that number might be a lot more straightforward to get than the cost of, renovating an old building and bringing it up.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah, probably easier
yes,
costs
I
because
think it
Yeah.
might be easier for us. Yeah.
Like a new building is always easier to get that cost. And I do think that, if you're talking about, we're literally throwing darts at a dartboard right now with these numbers sometimes, right? And I think that as much as, we don't want a study, you're going to need a study to figure out what that cost is. Because even the Ripley renovation cost, those numbers are now old,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I think that it has to be current to really know what you're dealing with. And Peabody was at the end of life. I don't know that it's rehabable. I mean, it might be, but it might cost so much because of some of the environmental issues over there that it makes it really inefficient.
well, I mean that's what I'm saying. I think we know where we're headed as I think we know. I think we know what we're going to rule out here. I'm not sure we know what we're going to end up ruling in
Yeah, I
total.
think, yeah, we're talking about what's on our short list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even to also understand, I know I keep on saying it, like, and I think I said at the last meeting too, the ARPA funding to know, it would be helpful to get another presentation to the select board to see where we're at, to see if there's any money available for a study, because you can reallocate the money to something within one of the categories. You can't have a new category, but I think that this was on the original list of categories.
Okay, let
What?
me
What was Tracy? Tell me.
Like just any money that would be used, because didn't they use ARPA funding to do the design, that design for today?
Yeah, and when we were at the meeting, I think the upper limit of ARPA funds that could be reallocated to this was 150,000. And I feel that we've spent some on this presentation today, which made some assumptions that I don't know where the assumptions came from, but anyway, um, but I think that to me, it's the co-chairs who who we should be, as I said earlier, escalating this to and saying, we need this kind of information to do our work, to do our
Yeah.
due diligence. So who wants to do that? Who wants to contact Sven and Judith and say, we think we need good market values for Ripley and Peabody, and we need good numbers for what it would cost to rehab.
yeah, I'll
Um,
do that. I'll do
okay,
that.
great.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Alan has his hand up.
Yeah.
Tracy, if you want.
Oh, yes, Alan, sorry.
Yeah, hi, thanks. And I can't put my camera on so I could wave my hand, but basically, when Mary, you mentioned about doing our due diligence on costs, estimating, I will say Russ's numbers are very back of the envelope as that's based on the information we have. And I
Yeah.
think is the committee determines there's a need for more and better, refinement. We just have to understand that will likely require third-party support. So those are costs that we just have to capture somehow, or sources of funds that we need to make sure we identify. Just for this group, because I just Google is amazing. You Google costs for new DPW facilities in Massachusetts, and you immediately get information where Easton is just, has an estimate of 150 million for police, fire, public works costs. Seekonk, new public works facility, 31.2 million initially with higher bids later. Billerica, 50 million for a public works. Acton, around 43 as of 2024, 43 million. Boxford, uh, Public Works estimated 16.5 for a 22,000 square foot building. It's information's out there, and unless we really want to get more site specific, that's what we got to work with. But Google's pretty remarkable for pulling up certain data, but I think the Peabody costs are going to require much more than the preliminary assessment that was done. And just knowing that, I think it does help to have all of your thoughts support or make the request so that it's not in a vacuum. And if we're going to spend money, where it's coming from and why.
Well, Alan, it's very, very
Thanks, Alan.
thoughtful. I think at this stage, my sense is, so we're making some pretty high level but supportable recommendations to the select board. I think the type of information that we can get can establish a range for whether it's a municipal building or a DPW or a fire police. And if we can cite that range, I think that would be maybe sufficient for select board deciding what to take next steps. We don't need an exact number, even for Peabody. But if we can get an educated rough number, which is not exactly back of the envelope, but supported by real data out there. I don't know, Barry, what's your sense? How do we
Well,
get
I
from
think
Russ's number to?
Alan gave us some really good ideas as far as how to look at what our other communities are doing to build something new. So we could use Google or what ChatGPT and find out what's it cost to build a new municipal office building with this much square footage, blah. So when we're talking about 2229 Main, that might come in really handy. But I don't see how we're going to be able to go out and find something like that for Peabody. What's it cost to renovate an old building, bring it up to code, make sure that it's environmentally safe. So that I think we need some. I mean, remember, we talked the other day when we met as a full committee about going to the town and asking for the 2.5 million just to kind of put an earmark in there so that we can move on Peabody if we decide that that's where we want to go. And we realize that we need strong arguments. And one of the arguments has to be, we've talked about this before. What
Yeah.
are we going to save by doing this? What's it cost to renovate Peabody? And I'd like to revisit that decision we made about the 2.5 million, but this is not the right time.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe we should keep that as a placeholder. But sorry, my phone is ringing. But I think we need some a deeper dive into the cost to renovate Peabody.
I would
So
agree, and I
the
think that,
school,
oh,
Tracy,
sorry.
I'm sorry, the schools did a report. There's a report on Peabody. There's a detailed set of costs in the Peabody report. Now, Russ, when he looked at that, said that was underestimate, but there,
What year, Paul, is that? 2017?
yeah, this was the report. This had Peabody and Sanborn, the facilities assessment that the schools commissioned, which was a precursor for middle school decision. So we have that report is in our database, and I don't so we have something there, which I think is I don't know how that compares with, I think it's a
But
little,
I guess my concern, and I would echo what Mary said earlier, because I think you're absolutely correct, is once a number gets out there into the public domain, they assume that's the number. Then it's like, well, it doesn't cost 30 million, it really costs 50 million. You told us it was
Mhm.
30 million. So I get concerned about that. The 2017 numbers, I mean, those numbers wouldn't even be close to what they are today. I think a lot has changed in construction and renovation, and COVID changed everything. And now you've got tariffs and all sorts of things to consider. So I don't believe that that's even close to what the number would be.
Yeah,
That's my,
Yeah,
again, I'm not a
yes,
professional,
I,
but
no, I was going to continue by saying at least
yeah,
there's one consulting firm that knows that building really well, that has
ah,
done estimates
yes,
based on that.
mhm,
And
right.
they could update that based on current current costs and materials. They don't have to start from scratch. So I think
but actually, Paul, it's a change of use as well. So I think when they did their
yeah,
analysis, they were looking at it as continuing as a school, right?
that's
Right.
true.
And a
That's true.
change of use triggers some things.
Yeah.
So, we've got to be mindful of that as well. Alan's got his hand up
Yep.
again.
Alan.
Yeah, again, I'm sort of leaning into AI, but just for conversation's sake, and this is where we need professionals to kind of vet. There's, cost breakdowns on renovating municipal office buildings, and there's ranges for minor remodeling, there's ranges for full renovation, and there's ranges for high-end or complex renovation. And at this stage, it's $1 per square foot, and you're talking anywhere from $60 per foot at a low to 350 at the high level.
Well, that's a big range.
Yeah.
It's a big range. And so really with a full renovation, something like what we might be looking at Peabody, you're looking at $100 to $200 per square foot, depending on, and that talks about, a complete overhaul, including demolition of existing finishes, walls, restrooms, reconfiguring ductwork, upgrading systems. It could be lower if the shell with existing walls and flooring is intact. So this is where a professional can give us some good guidance
Yeah.
and, and reference these things. But for this committee's, you sort of just, I'm no expert in any of this, but I'm just taking literally a few minutes to look online, and it can start giving you a sense of range. And Russ has a pretty good sense of things from experience, but again, the third party outside consultant is going to give us a little bit more, kind of better vetting. But it is remarkable what you can pull online now that you couldn't when they were doing this
Yeah.
study. It's just crazy.
Let me suggest another source, and Kerry has mentioned this several times, that this is not the first school building that is being converted into municipal use. So there are other towns that have taken old school buildings and renovated. So that there's additional real data that we'll have to figure out what those towns are and how to get that
Mhm,
information.
mhm,
But there's another real world source of that. And,
mhm. Yeah,
so that's another source.
yeah.
How to locate that and get that information, but that's out there as well.
So, and just looking at, kind of finishing this up, are there action items from the matrix to do for our next meeting?
I had those three that I was going to look at, going to the assessor.
Yep.
And then Paul, you were going to, I think you're going to try to,
Email, yep, Judith
yeah,
and
and try to get see if we can get some funds for
Well, the appraisals for,
yeah, for especially the renovation of Peabody, and then I guess second would be Ripley, right?
yep. And can we also add to that just to see where we're at with that ARPA funding and the money that we spent on this presentation that Russ was going to do today and what's left, if we have any access to that? That seems like a select board carry discussion, so can I just add that to our select board members?
Well, actually, Tracy, I think the way I
the,
understood it was we have 150,000, right?
That's for the land use working committee to decide or the select board
The Land Use Working Committee.
committee, so not
Well,
this
okay,
group.
wait, let me stop.
Yeah,
ARPA funds are really decided by the town manager.
yes,
And she runs it by the select board, but it's her decision. And I believe she's allocated 100 or found 150,000, and that's up to the chairs, I think, in my opinion, it's up to the chairs of this larger group to figure out how they want to allocate that. And then the other idea that we had that we brought up the other day was that if there's money being spent for MCI, as part of the land use working group, there's another, the town approved some money to spend for MCI. So we might be able to get some money from that source. But
Okay.
this is something I really think like that Sven and Judith should work out and allocate it to the subcommittees as they see fit. And we need to make a really strong
Yeah,
case for
so
that.
I'll take that request.
Can you
So
include that in your email to Judith and Sven?
I
Great.
will. One question on the MCI 250K that was approved at town meeting.
Yeah.
There was an equivalent earmark that I thought was
No.
in play, was the not approved.
Well, okay. I'm not a really good at, Alan's got his hand up.
Why don't you
Yeah.
finish, Mary? Why don't you finish first, Mary?
Actually, I'm not a good source here. It's really,
Okay,
maybe Alan knows better.
Alan, go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, I can, Megan may want to chime in, but I believe it was subject to review halfway through the fiscal year, where the governor was going to see, what could be made available. Megan, do you want to, the details on that?
There's,
Yes, there was an earmark approved, but it was kind of put in a category of we're not releasing any earmarks at this time, and maybe we will down the road, as Alan said, and especially
Okay.
with some of the recent funding uncertainty, and the amount of time it takes to get a contract based on previous years to use the earmarks. I wouldn't discount it. We were very thrilled that our legislators were able to put it forward and that it was, adopted in some way, but we do not have funds in hand and we don't have an anticipated time for when we would.
yeah.
And do you think that that needs a follow-up with maybe Simon Cataldo or?
I think the governor's budget message was pretty clear, and this is in a category of earmarks. Pretty much all earmarks are. So I don't know if this would be. I think following up with him, he is a great resource and knows a lot more of the in and outs of what's going on. So I don't think it would harm it, but I guess I don't know if this is going to get pulled out, of the group it's in.
Okay, so you're saying it's kind of frozen until halfway through the fiscal year?
Or at a later date. Yeah,
Or at a later date?
it was a wait and see for the earmarks this year. A list was approved, but none of the agencies are entering into contracts with the awardees for these items at this time.
Thank you. Let me ask, so we've kind of beaten, excuse me, beaten Peabody to death here, and so we know what we need there. Let me ask
It's coming
about,
up next on the agenda, Paul, too.
yeah, I know, but before we leave this spreadsheet, um, we have the MCI, the Warren's headquarters on here. Do we move this? I mean, this is on the long list. Do we need more data at this point, or is that something we
I'd
actually?
propose we take it off.
Okay.
I think so too. I don't think this is on a short-term list at all. I mean, I look at like 5 years, 10 years. It's not really something we can enact on.
Okay. I was going to agree with that because it makes it a little
Right.
easier. And also having been through that building, it is a interesting, complex, fraught building that somebody else needs to deal with. Anyway, what about the leasing option here?
Yeah.
These are, I guess, reasonable numbers that came from Judith and applying, the estimates of 100 staff. But this is only per year. So how would we want to articulate that cost, Mary? This is like
Well,
1 year.
The other thing that I feel about this is that we don't know if we even have the available space. I mean, we're
It
talking,
has to be in the town of Concord.
right. It has to be in the town of Concord, and we're talking about what, a potential 136 people. So I have an email into Mimi Graney, our economic vitality director, to give me a feel for what if we have any space available. I know there's a lot on Baker Ave, but it's not contiguous. So I think we
Yeah,
need,
so this is roughly 100 staff times 150 square feet. This is without program space. So this is 15,000 square feet. So at least 15,000 square feet of office space. Probably, I don't know. It's
You know
gonna
what?
be more than that.
One scenario is we only consolidate some groups,
Yes, yes.
to a lease building that might be available on Baker Ave. But to your earlier point, Paul, about how would I include that in the economic analysis? Is that,
Hmm.
well, again, if we're looking out 10 years, we'd say what's the cost of consolidating? So that 400,000, is that what it is? Rough estimate.
450,000, yeah. So
Yeah,
that
it
would
would
be,
go out 10 years, whereas a Peabody would be a huge upfront cost, but none, just operational costs going forward. You know,
yeah. So, okay. So you would apply a 10-year overall estimate.
yeah, with some kind of bump in there for
Yeah.
increases
Okay.
for these, but this is going to be a tricky one because we don't have the space available. And if we want to make something, we want to make a realistic recommendation, not if there was so we've got to learn more from Mimi. I think she's out now, but I do have an email into her to get a better feel for that.
Okay. So that's
I mean,
another,
yeah, I'm sure
another,
she knows commercial real estate, and you definitely have commercial real estate people on the economic
Yes.
vitality. I mean, Tyler Spring. I mean, I think you could just ask him directly. I'm happy to reach out to him if you want to do that. I think in some towns, it's if they have vacant buildings, like vacant office space buildings. I'm just not sure we're that town.
I hear you. Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's something we've got to consider.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not ready to take it off. I hear what you're
yeah.
saying. I'm not ready to take it off. I think it's something we should consider.
So I think we just leave it on. Just leave it
Uh,
on for now and see if we can get any more information from either Mimi or Tyler.
Yeah.
Leave it on and could provide a 10-year estimate to that. And so is the old Welch's building, is that vacant? Is it?
Welch's, they definitely vacated their portion of the building and that would be relatively confined, but I don't know if they've rented it.
Hmm. Okay.
You
Well,
mean the one on 100 Main Street? The one
yes, I'm
that's
downtown.
part of the MBTA overlay.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the one in Baker Ave.
Well, I thought
Oh,
the
well,
building on
yeah,
Baker Ave, I think, is coming down as part of the Novo project
that's
that
what
ever goes
they're putting
forward.
parking in
Parking there?
one end of it. Yes, they are. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if they ever break ground, but the one on 100 Main Street, that is part of the MBTA overlay district. I'm trying to think what that means.
Where is 100 Main Street? Can you just describe where it is?
Oh gosh,
Obviously, I know Main Street's
The corner
here.
of Kai's Road and the corner of Kai's Road and Main Street. There's a
Oh,
building.
yeah, it's next to the
The building
cemetery.
across from the bank. It's next to the cemetery. Okay. I was just trying to
Yes,
get my bearings.
exactly,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
You got it. Good.
Got it.
Yeah, well, that doesn't have to be housing. That could be office.
Doesn't have to be, but it's well.
Do we
Okay,
know how big it is? Like, is that worth investigating that building?
it's a big building, 3 floors. That plus Baker Avenue, that I'd say there's probably enough space, but why don't we not overthink that here? Maybe just ask Mimi, you
Okay,
know.
like I said, I have an email. We'll see. I have an email into her. So I got to tell you, before I forget, I'm going to be out for the next your next meeting. Just want to let you know. So some of the action items I'm taking, I will email them to you, but I won't be at our next meeting.
And can I just ask process on this? Because I know what our
Yeah,
process on the school committee is. Are we just emailing everything through Shannon for distribution?
yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
Because
Yeah.
that's what I've been doing. I just wanted to make sure
I
we're,
think that's good. Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Okay, so are we going to have this presentation or Russ
Yeah,
is
so
here?
are we ready to close up on the matrix? Till next time?
I think so. I think there's work to do for data, work to do on the adding columns, et cetera. But again, we're making progress here. We're identifying. We've at least ruled one thing out. That's terrific.
Yes,
That's great. That's
that's
I'm,
progress.
I'm so happy.
Okay, so the next agenda item is the presentation by Russ and Russ is not here. And I think that Shannon included it just so we had the presentation also, because we couldn't put new business on here. So do we want to just table this to the next meeting?
I,
Because I have no idea what the presentation means myself.
I'm confused too.
Okay.
Because it looks like it assumes that certain departments will move there, and yet we haven't done our work yet. So
And
that's
I actually, if I could just ask a couple of questions, even the firm that was hired, like when did that decision get made? Like, did I miss a meeting when all of this was happening?
no, I agree with you. I
So
don't remember that either.
I don't really
I
know.
remember asking if we could have an environmental assessment
So I
done.
guess, before I go to Ellen, I guess I would like a couple things answered, like who decided to get this done and how much did it cost? Because again, it goes into our direct kind of charge, which is I would rather an environmental assessment Peabody before we assume that we can move everything to Peabody. Because it's making a lot of assumptions. And that's how I read it.
maybe Alan can answer that.
Yeah, so I apologize. This is the first, just to be clear, there are many, many meetings relating to this commission or committee and MCI. So multiple per week, and Russ has been going to many of them. I wasn't aware that this was going to be presented at this meeting, so that's kind of, not, and it's not because it's not somewhere on an agenda. I'm not tracking every detail in every subcommittee. With Russ, I don't even know if he knew he was on the books for the meeting today. And Shannon, maybe you can answer it, but I do know he had a personal need that I was aware of last Friday today. So and he never mentioned this. So that's one. The other issue is it was green lighted to take some of that ARPA funds, and I'm not sure which subcommittee or the total committee, to do both an environmental assessment, a limited one with some modest sampling of the facilities, basically because we have a pretty good sense of what the conditions are and where the risks are. But it was a very modest environmental assessment with some cap, and there was also a very basic assessment of other municipal uses, and we haven't really had a discussion internally on this, so I'm not sure what was going to be presented, but it's basically a fairly simple assessment. I think it was not to exceed, it was like $7,500 or something. So, and Tracy, to your point of, what kind of input, I don't know. So I think Russ needs to be, present in order to share the firm, what the baseline information was provided to them. But I think that's kind of without his voice. I'd suggest you just sort of defer this till a point where he can provide some of the details. But I will be very clear. There was a green light through Megan and the town manager to use the ARPA funds for these purposes, but they were fairly limited. I think it was maybe up to 25,000 for the environmental and up to 7,500 for the kind of mass of potential uses. But Megan, I don't know. I mean, I think there's an email on it.
Yeah, no, it was,
And
that was discussed on, I think the September 5th meeting at Ripley. Those are the two requests that the wider committee asked us to pursue. And so this was one of the elements that was recommended at that time.
So
Yeah,
is
and
the
to Russ's credit,
environmental
this is
one also
real
coming?
time. I would just volunteer. We are doing things on a staff level that are almost real time. So, the fact of the checks and balances, it's a little bit challenging for us all, but I do know that he was working quickly to try and make sure we could get information back. I just regret he's not here to talk about it today.
Yeah, that's okay. And I would say that I don't think it's ready for any of us to talk about. I guess my only other question for the town would be, has the environmental study, has that been given a green light and is that in process or not?
It's been given a green light. I don't know where it is in the process.
So
Yeah,
I mean, I would like to table this until we have more
yeah,
information.
yeah. Now, just to be clear, we're just asking questions here about what's going on. But on the deliverable for the Peabody assessment, that's the PowerPoint that we have in our package, right? That we're going to look at today. So the result of that, so that's complete, and that's what we're going to talk about. There's nothing more going on for Peabody planning other than the environmental assessment, as far as I know. Yeah.
Yeah. And Alan, I also wanted, like, I really am appreciative to the town and the professionals in the town, because you have been working really hard on this with, between the tours, all the committee meetings and everything else. I don't want to let that get lost in it. We're certainly appreciative to all of the town leadership for providing the information that this committee is asking of. So thank you for that.
Yeah, so Tracy, I'm going to send Alan the bowling ball graphic that I sent you, juggling multiple bowling balls with hands and feet.
Yes,
I think that's
yes,
very appropriate.
yes,
That's what
yes.
Alan's been doing as well.
So could we,
You can't see my face. I'm smiling. What you hear is tone, and it's more of just the challenges and frustrations, not with a committee, but just there's a lot of work, a lot of needs, a
yeah,
lot of uncertainties, and we're just trying what we can to support. But it is also a project. We don't have a third party consultant, providing any additional effort. So I'm good. I just want to be clear as far as my understanding. That's all.
yeah. And so I guess that I would like to just table this until we can get either a presentation from either the firm that did the work or from Russ or both of them. I mean, I think they should both be part of the discussion. Otherwise, we're looking at slides that,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think we should be looking at today.
Tracy, can I bring up two other things that are, I think on the agenda or tangentially on the agenda?
Let me see if they're on the agenda. Let's
Yeah,
see.
there are.
Okay.
So we've been talking about sort of wholesale consolidation of lots of buildings into one space. I think Mary's point is we also talk about maybe prioritization within that. Is there some partial moves that make sense, or is there some sequencing of
Yeah.
moves that might make sense? So it's not an all or none, and maybe partial, and that would maybe change the dynamics as well. That's something in a future meeting we need to kind of step back and, okay, we have the big picture. What if we could prioritize those to
Mhm.
meet the needs, whether that's productivity?
I
I think that we should do that.
I think that's a great idea. I really do, especially if we're thinking about taking a phased approach to this. Um, we need to prioritize which things make sense timing wise. Which that's what I was hoping. Getting back to the presentation that I know we tabled, but when I looked at the presentation, it kind of made some assumptions as far as who is moving there, and I think we need to kind of rethink those assumptions, and think about how, based on the work that we're doing, what would we prioritize as far as moving, and so that's something that would need to be integrated into the work that's been done.
Yeah, because I think it needs our input to decide what's going, like, we're doing all of this, and I
Work,
think
yes,
it needs the collaboration between this committee and the town staff to kind of come together and make some recommendations. So,
yes.
um,
So yeah, no, I like that idea a lot as far as prioritizing um, which which sites we think would be the best to kind of put them in a sequence. That's a if so you're the chair next time, Paul, right?
I am. So this is a meeting. This is a meeting that you're going to miss.
I am. So
yes,
I'll live
the
with your
fall, you and I, you can share it and I'll take the notes. I'll just say it out loud,
and
and you can develop the agenda based
just
on our conversation.
Excellent. And Mary will live with any
yep,
delegation that we give
yep,
to her at
yep,
that meeting in absentia.
yep.
One other point, because Mary, the quarterly report
Oh
draft
yeah, the quarterly
was,
report.
I don't want to discuss it here, but I think the action item would be for Tracy and myself to kind of look at that and
Yep,
edit that and add to it. Okay. So
absolutely.
that's
Yep.
maybe something, Tracy, we want that
Okay.
I would add to the
Put it
agenda
on the agenda for
for the
next time,
next
because
one.
we can't
Yeah.
talk about it today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just want to remind us that at our meeting, full board meeting, full committee meeting we had last week or whenever that was, that Judith said that brevity is the best thing, and having been on the select board, and I know Tracy, you being on the school committee, having things that are very succinct and tight is good. So I think keep that as our guiding.
No, that was your one pager was quite succinct and tight. I'll tell
No,
you.
Yeah,
that's not too, that's too tight, but needs to be
Okay,
expanded, but
that'll be on the next
yeah,
agenda.
let's keep it, let's
Yep.
keep it short, okay?
I like keeping it short. Okay, so with that, we have nothing else on the agenda, so we know what our marching orders are. And so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
And
aye.
Aye.
aye.